Our governments are at war with free speech. If the last week, 10 days has taught us anything, it's that the government, both here in Ireland and especially in the UK in the last 2 weeks, has lost control of the narrative. There was a time when they could put into the newspapers, the mainstream media, the BBC, RTE, radio stations, whatever narrative, whatever story suited them. They could skew any set of events so that their narrative came out on top. They could demonise one side and they could make heroes of the other side. That has changed. Social media has changed the game, and in particular, the buying of Twitter by Elon Musk, as is illustrated perfectly here in comments made by our Taoiseach, that's Deputy Prime Minister Micheál Martin, when he singled out Elon Musk as partially responsible, as he put it, for the riots and civil disorder and civil unrest, essentially laying the blame at the feet of Elon Musk and his X platform, formerly Twitter, as being a problem, as being the catalyst, partially to blame for why people are so angry, for why people are taking to the streets. The fact that ordinary people can share information, can share videos, can share audio, can share photographs, terrifies the people in power. They can no longer control what you see and what you read. Now, in a free and fair and functional society, democratic society, this shouldn't be of any consequence. But in a society which is not free except on paper, which is not democratic except on paper, and which is not functional by any stretch, free speech becomes a real big headache. Because the more a society crumbles, implodes, the more the government, the regime, has to crack down on what people say, on what people can say, on what people feel they're able to say without getting the police on their backs or without being put in a police cell. It's called authoritarianism. And when you see, as we are seeing now all over the UK, police arriving at ordinary suburban households, cutting down doors, knocking in front doors, arresting ordinary people for tweets, for things they said on Facebook, for comments about illegal immigration or the levels of immigration, then you know you are heading to a very bad place as a society. Any government that has to do that is admitting they've got it horribly wrong, that they are out of step with the people, the majority of the people, and rather than correct course, they'll send round the jackboots to sort out anyone who disagrees with them. Make no mistake about it. If they could ban X, Twitter, they would, in a heartbeat.
I think so. I think we should stop it. It's only a temporary measure in order to limit the spread of inflammatory information, misinformation as well, across the United Kingdom at this point. And I think we should focus on keeping people safe.
Until a very short time ago, here in Ireland, in the UK, perhaps all over Europe, if the government, my government, your government, the French government, the German government, didn't like a narrative, didn't like something that had happened, or how people were talking about it, or how people perhaps who had eyewitness accounts were explaining what they saw, or had videos of what happened, they could share it around, but governments could make a call. They could make a quick phone call to Twitter HQ, Google HQ, Facebook HQ, and in the blink of an eye, that story would disappear. Those hashtags would disappear. If it was on a trending list, it would disappear. Those videos would disappear, and any accounts that shared the videos would also disappear. Those of us who watch these kinds of things saw this happen many, many times. When Elon Musk took over Twitter, rebranded as X now, he said, screw this. I'm not playing those games. So the EU tried to call him to task. He told the EU to screw off. Various governments are now trying to take him to task and he's telling them to screw off. At least we have one platform that is pro-free speech. Even channels like mine, for saying even what I'm saying now, will, with no fanfare, disappear. They'll just not be there one day. I'll go to log in one morning and I'll be told this channel doesn't exist. That's how it happens. It's that easy. And make no mistake, that's where we are going. What is becoming very clear to me, and possibly to you over the events of the last week, is that the government narrative, which was that everything on the ground was far-right agitators, far-right rioters, running amok, rampaging around Britain, was completely false. What we could see with our own eyes, thanks to X, thanks to YouTube, thanks to Facebook, was something else. Gangs of armed Muslims going around with machetes, samurai swords, knives, bats, attacking people on the streets of Britain. That wasn't the narrative. You weren't supposed to see that. And before Elon Musk took over Twitter, you wouldn't have seen that. All those videos would have disappeared. And anyone who shared them would have also disappeared. And this is why our governments are so up in arms with Elon Musk. Because they can no longer control the narrative. Ordinary people are getting to see what's actually happening. The beauty of online platforms is if I see something happening on my street, in my hometown, in my estate, well, in the old days I could meet you on the street, perhaps in a pub, and I could tell you all about it. I might even have a picture or something on my phone. Whereas now, I can make a video like this and tens of thousands of people can see it. I can show you clips of what I have seen and now you can see them. Now we can all see them. We don't have to go to the Telegraph, the Irish Times, BBC, RTE to get their version. The approved version, the sanitised version, the one side of the story version. We don't have to do that anymore. You can come to places like me and many others, and I can show you what I've found, what I've seen. I don't have to go to the government for a licence to do this, at least for now, and that means I'm not beholden to the government. They don't pay me for this. I don't have to go to them every year to renew a licence like the BBC, like all these radio stations, TV stations. They have to go cap in hand to the government of the day every year or every few years and say, please, please, sir, can I have another licence to conduct my business? Well, have you been a good boy or girl? Is what the government says. Have you behaved? And if you have, we'll give you a licence. And if you haven't, we can't help you. That's not free speech. That's how governments control the media, or controlled the media. But people on X, people on YouTube, at least for now, we don't need to go through all that. We're not beholden to the government. We're not beholden to Micheál Martin. We're not beholden to Simon Harris or Keir Starmer or Yvette Cooper. We're not beholden to them. We don't need to go check with them about what we can say. They don't like that and they want to change that.
The era of self-regulation of these companies is well and truly over. This will be the year in which there will be binding codes, financial sanctions and personal liabilities on social media companies, and that day can come quickly.
They want to put fear into people so that you don't know what you can post, you don't know what you can say, you don't know what you can share.
We will throw the full force of the law at people. And whether you're in this country committing crimes on the streets or committing crimes from further afield online, we will come after you.
Talk to me about that, because we have seen some high-profile figures whipping up the hatred. You talked about it in there with the officers, in fact, about this being added to by online commentary. I mean, I'm even thinking of the likes of Elon Musk getting involved. What are you considering when it comes to dealing with people who are whipping up this kind of behaviour from behind a keyboard, maybe in a different country?
Being a keyboard warrior does not make you safe from the law. You can be guilty of offences of incitement, of stirring up racial hatred. There are numerous terrorist offences regarding the sort of publishing of material. All of those offences are in play. if people are provoking hatred and violence on the streets, and we will come after those individuals just as we will physically confront on the streets the thugs and the obs who are causing the problems for communities.
So you don't share anything. You just put your head down and go on with your day. And just hope they won't come for you first. Maybe they'll come for you last.
The offence of incitement to racial hatred involves publishing or distributing material which is insulting or abusive, which is intended to or likely to start racial hatred. So if you retweet that, then you're republishing that, and then potentially you're committing that offence. And we do have dedicated police officers who are scouring social media. Their job is to look for this material and then follow up with identification arrests and so forth. So it's a really, really serious. People might think they're not doing anything harmful. They are, and the consequences will be visited upon them.
That's not the world I was born into. That's not the world I want to live in. But that is the world our modern day politicians are visiting upon us, whether we like it or not. It's almost like someone took George Orwell's novel 1984, not as a work of fiction, but as a blueprint for modern society.